Hello again. Great to have your company on the Small Caps podcast. I'm Peter Capsanis. Well, the real estate market is booming, with house prices surging across the nation, in particular in Western Australia. Prices have surged at their fastest rate in 30 years, with an average market increase of around 15% or more. It's good news for Perth-based technology company AssetOwl, which boasts its property tool inspector360, a technological advancement when it comes to marketing properties and filing their associated property reports. In the last 2 weeks, the company has also embarked on a leadership change, appointing Geoff Goldsmith as its new CEO. And he joins me in the studio now. Geoff, welcome to Small Caps.
Thanks, Pete. Great to be here.
You're 2 weeks into the job, as I mentioned, and you've come off a successful $1.5 million capital raising venture. Before we get into that, help us understand the company a bit better. You have been around for a few years. How would you describe what AssetOwl is and what it does?
Sure. We provide a digitalised, photocentric inspection tool for the real estate market. So what does that mean? Look, I'm sure everybody or your listeners will be aware real estate is a highly regulated industry, particularly the rental part of the industry itself. So when a tenant moves into a property, there's an extensive entry inspection. Whilst the tenant lives in the property, there's a series of routine inspections, and at the end, of course, there's an exit inspection where they compare the state of the property with what it was like when they moved in. So our tool enables real estate agents to provide that inspection on their phone. So it meets all the legislative requirements, all the regulations, very easy but very dense, photogenic sort of inspection tool.
So it doesn't only take photos, it also enables the filing and the reporting and note-taking as well.
The note-taking. I mean, you can either tab it in with your fingers or voice to text, the full range. Any particular phone you want, you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on your iPad. It's all synced up in the cloud. You can have 2 or 3 people doing the same inspection on their own phones. It all syncs up in the same report. Done. So
if a property manager is doing a property report, can they do it on themselves using Inspector360?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so it cuts down on time and all the paperwork.
Yep. So where our tool, there's a lot of smarts behind our tool, so there's a lot of differences between what's already out there in the market and ours. But one of the key aspects is the panoramic photos that we use, which we believe is unique to the market. Originally, using other tools, an property manager will come in and take literally 800, 1,000 photos. They'll go back to the office, they'll edit it, streamline it, cut out all the photos they don't like. With our tool, there's a camera they use, Insta360. They put it in the middle of the room. It takes, in a minute, the entire room, ceiling, floor, all the walls. It shows that typically the room's in good condition. And then what the inspection person will do is they'll notice any defects and they'll take individual photos of that. So it cuts back on a lot of time, and the quality of the actual photo and the experience is much better.
Well, I'm a recent investor, landlord come seller.
Yes. And
I was there the day when the photographer came out and took photos of my property prior to it listing on the website.
Yes.
It was about a 30, 45 minute process just to take photos, and then they piece them together, edit them together. Yep. Really nice photos. But if your tool was being used for this process, would it be faster and more effective?
Absolutely. So look, we're a small company. We spend a lot of time building our tech up. We're now entering a new phase, sales and marketing. So we've signed up our first 3 customers, and the feedback we've had has been very positive. So there's a customer in Esperance. Their feedback is for a 4-bedroom house, which would normally take them about 4 or 5 hours to do an entry inspection, they're saving 75%. So they'll do that in just over an hour, what previously took 4 hours. It's a game changer.
Right, okay. And it can be used by agents as well when they're selling properties and showcasing them as well?
Yeah, so we've built in a virtual marketing tool. That's what we did last year, mainly to support the Victorian industry because they've been hit a lot harder than we have, but they can do that. So that then led us to develop what's called an owner's portal, where you can send a link to the owner, the real estate agent, and it basically takes them through their house. It's absolutely fantastic, and that hasn't been done before. The relationship between your owner and your real estate agent, I don't know what your relationship's like, Pete, but I'm sure it's fine. But often it's very tense, so the owner's got quite unrealistic expectations of what the condition of their property is. They last saw it 4 years ago when it was brand new. You've had a tenant in for 5 years. They haven't had the chance to see it.
No.
And so there's a real expectations gap. And often they only hear about the property when there's a bond dispute.
Yeah.
Or,
Or the taps have gone, the plumbing's gone.
Something needs to be fixed. So when you do your routine inspection using this tool, you can basically, with these high quality 360-degree photos, you can send a link to the owner. If they're interested, they can click on it and they can literally walk through the house.
Right.
And see what the condition is. So
virtual
tool. And so, it makes sure they've got it gives them peace of mind. They've got a real accurate sense of what the house is like. They've got realistic expectations. And so that helps the real estate agent build a more positive, constructive relationship with the owner. So we think once an owner has seen this, they won't go to another real estate agent unless they can offer the same service.
You're in a unique space, you would say,
yes.
Particularly around this trajectory that we're experiencing here now, especially in WA and the property price boom that we're experiencing. Yep. What does that bode for inspector360?
Well, inspections are the cornerstone of the rental industry, if you like, of the property investment industry. So you will always need to do inspections, regardless of whether there's a boom or a recession. The more turnover there is, obviously, the more inspections occur. So, whether the market's booming or in recession, someone will always need a roof over their heads. There'll always be a need to rent, and there'll always be a need for rental inspections. Now, interestingly, it's not the case in Perth at the moment, where it's very hard to find a rental and people aren't moving. But we do think that when the markets turn, or in markets like, some parts of Melbourne where there's a high vacancy rate, and it's a bit more competitive trying to get tenants in. We offer the ability to do a virtual inspection. So you can do a robust inspection from your office. You just ring up the tenant. It's a remote inspection. They take you through. You tell them to stop, take a photo of that, and you're doing that live. It's a real robust inspection, but it can be done remotely. That's a selling point for that house if there's a lot of vacancies, because the tenant is then offered the ability not to have to be there for a rental inspection, or not to have someone traipsing through their house when they're not around. We offer that. No one else does. So, there's a lot of when there's vacancies, there's even more selling points.
Do you think tenants more willing and happy to comply with that kind of request?
Well, it gives them the option. They don't have to.
Yep.
They don't have to. But a lot of people, I've been in the situation yourself. You've been given a 3-hour window. You've got to go to work. But you're going to be there 3 hours to meet the real estate agent. You don't know when they're going to turn up, or if the real estate agent turns up and someone's not there, so they've wasted a 40-minute trip in Sydney across from one side to the other. So this eliminates that. Now you can't, obviously people are still going to want to walk the ground, but instead of say having 4 inspections a year where they're live, you could perhaps half that and do it remotely. The options there. The options there. And of course in COVID it becomes very powerful.
And very powerful during COVID, and then when there's lockdowns and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And we're not entirely out of the woods just yet. So no. I hear what you're saying. You were involved with the company prior to coming on as CEO 2 weeks ago in a consultancy space.
That's right.
How did that come about? How did this the dawning of a new era under the Goldsmith banner come about?
Well, the company, the way I describe the company, it's long on capability and short on capacity. It's a small business. The guys work really hard, but there's not much bandwidth to do anything else, outside of day-to-day and product development. So they needed someone to take a look at a longer term, and long-term in this sort of tech play, we're talking 12 months to 18 months. Where are we going? What are our objectives? How are we going to get there? And we're about to enter a new phase, sales and marketing. What can we do to try and, enter that phase and accelerate it as quickly? So I was helping them think through some of those issues. And then, the chairman sort of thought, well, it's great having that extra capacity there. We do need a CEO. Giuseppe, needs more time to focus on the technical sides of the
You're talking about Giuseppe DeFranco? Your Chief Technical Officer?
Chief Technical Officer. So he's very much involved. And, my response to Simon, the chairman, was, well, Giuseppe and yourself have got to be happy with that. Giuseppe is the heart and soul of the business as well. And, thankfully Giuseppe was quite happy for that arrangement. So Giuseppe's now on the board, but he's also the CTO. Yep. And as the Chief Executive Officer, one of my main roles is giving him the bandwidth to be able to focus on what's important.
Before this, you spent some time in the Army, the ADF, 15 years.
Yep.
How did that come about, and how did you go from being in the Army into an ASX listed company?
Well, I went to university here for 4 years, did a commerce degree.
Here being UWA?
UWA, yeah.
In Perth?
In Perth, sunny Perth. And look, I was scared of waking up when I was in my 50s and thinking all I've done is driven a desk all my life. And, wanted a sense of adventure, a little bit of patriotism, I suppose, but mainly adventure, do something physical. So I joined the Army. And, all of us, and I joined for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, it's 15 years. I thought, it's time to start working my way home. So, I had a great run. People were very much front and centre of what we were doing in the Army. And that, that's what I've sort of taken through with me. So, the Army really taught to me or showed just how important people are. People are, central to everything. So, one thing I've taken the Army into this job is the importance of your people. You look after your people. Your job as a leader is to give them the ability to flourish, the ability to do what they do well, and remove the obstacles from them so they can get on and do their job. So that's very much my approach. Where I can help the guys, that's what I'll do. And CEO, got to have broad shoulders. Take away a lot of that extraneous, crap, as you'd say. And give them the time to focus.
I think a lot of people listening would be saying, gee, I want him to be my CEO, my leader. For any mum and dad investors or whatnot listening right now, Geoff, what's your message to them? Why should they invest in AssetOwl? Why is it value for them?
Look, it's value for them. I mean, it's the small end of town, right? And that, as you know, I'm not here to provide financial advice. I think that's what you have to say all the time when you get these sort of questions. We're the smallest of the small micro caps. The plus is that it's really exciting. The share price was far lower on the last placement we've had than it should be. So there's a lot of room to grow.
So where are you around right now?
We're around 0.07 of a cent. Doesn't get much lower than that in my books. Market cap sub 4 million. But we have got it's a fantastic technology. I mean, it's really exciting when you look at it. And I don't have a tech background, but it's amazing what Giuseppe and the team have built. We're a tech play, and tech is the theme for the next 10 years, and we're part of that. And not only that, our company is in the real estate industry. The real estate industry, I mean, as you know, is the cornerstone of private wealth generation. You've said yourself, you're invested there. You're not doing it for fun, you're doing it for a reason, right? You're doing it to get financial security, and we're part of that thematic, and it's always going to be around. We're a small company, we're keen, we're run on the smell of an oily rag, and we're hungry. So that's why they should invest in us.
So in terms of running on the smell of an oily rag, it wasn't so small when you're talking about your successful $1.5 million capital raising venture from only days ago. How is that going to enable the company to go forward? What will you do with that investment cash injection?
Yeah, so until now, the company has been very much focused on product development. Now, that's not going to change. You've got to stay active to stay ahead, otherwise people will catch you up. But it's spent very little on sales and marketing. So we now have, as of this year, a product that's market ready, it's market tested, and we're now ready to enter that growth phase. We're ready to go to the East Coast and take the East Coast by storm. So that raising will do two things. One is it will keep the working capital going through the company, but secondly, it will fund a sales and marketing campaign. Now, we always would love to spend more on that. We'll spend some, but obviously we'll husband our resources as well, and we won't forget the tech side. But that's the new phase, and that's where our focus will be.
Big picture.
Picture.
Where does AssetOwl see itself in 3, 5, 10 years' time?
Well, I'll start with 12 months because we're in the tech space. It's 12 months, we will be, I think, the market leader in WA. Will be well and truly established on the East Coast. By the end of next year, we'll be the market leader in Australia. We'll be in New Zealand, and then we'll be looking further afield.
Global.
Well, not global, certain. So our focus would be on Commonwealth countries that have got that similar legislative overhang that you've got to follow. So that's very much our sweet spot. And of course, we'll be looking at any opportunity to see anything that's that fits in well and is aligned to our tech ability within the property space. But our focus at the moment, to be clear, it's roll out nationally in Australia.
Well, Geoff Goldsmith, it's been interesting and insightful to hear from you today, and congratulations on the appointment. An exciting phase for you on a professional and personal level, no doubt. And feel free to pop in anytime. It's good to have you on the show today.
Thanks a lot.